this Kansas City Chiefs team, man. Now, Carolina Panthers, hey.
That was a battle.
Wow. What a show.
Okay. Bryce Young gets pulled from the lineup. Okay. You're going to be benched for a little bit. Then you're going to go back in there, and then you guys are going to look completely differently. I think that was a nice sense of relief for Bryce Young. Getting a chance to watch a little bit, learn a little bit, see what the offense is supposed to be, because this is his first year in Canales' offense as well. So the way they've played, okay, Carolina Panthers. And we were obviously one of the main ones to dump on them.
Of course.
We like to talk about every team in the NFL. And whenever there's 20 people at the games and everything that's happening is happening, it's hard not to make fun of. But now that the Carolina Panthers don't, a lot of hope going into this offseason.
For sure.
And now, granted, we still got 6 weeks left of the season and everything like that, but there is a lot of hope for the future, I think, down there, when in the past there wasn't. Now, on the flip side, this Kansas City Chiefs team, they are a cardiac team. Yeah. I mean, everything's going to end up close. They had a good lead at halftime, I think 2 scores. They inevitably come crawling all the way back. Then they have to hit a field goal with Spencer Shrader to win this thing after Patrick Mahomes scoots for 34 yards, where he puts it on his back and says, listen, I got speed, I got athleticism. Nobody talks about I'm getting at and I'm getting owned. 34-yard scamper by Patrick Mahomes, who runs like what did Travis Kelce say on New Heights podcast? I think he said a llama or an emu or something. Yeah. I forget what he said.
An ostrich, I think.
An ostrich, you get it. You get it. I think they would all run in the same way. Who cares? 34 yards, puts them in field goal range, and then as time expires, Spencer Shrader, new to the team, hits a 31-yarder in place of Harrison Butker, and the Kansas City Chiefs bounce back after a loss, and now they're 10-1. Some of the stats that Hembo sent over, though, are pretty magical to see, that the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Yeah, but they shouldn't be winning. Well, that's what all these stats say. The Chiefs have spent less time with a double-digit lead this season than obviously Panthers, Bears, Bengals, Saints, and 16 other teams. The Chiefs this season are 29th in explosive plays. That's not what you think. No. That's not what you think at all, especially with, Xavier Worthy was joining that team. They're going to get crazy. Travis Kelce's doing his thing. Instead, this great guy's going back-to-back weeks with 2 touchdowns all over the yard. Absolute stud. And then they're 23rd in turnover margin, 22nd in sack margin. Over the last 5-10 seasons, I still don't know what that stat means, but we put it up there because that's what Hembo texted over. 54% of playoff games were decided by 1 score. It is a skill to be able to win in the end, and that's that Patrick Mahomes difference. That's what like Patrick Mahomes running for that 34 yards, even if he didn't run for it, we were assuming he was going to get there.
For sure.
When he got the ball 113 left,
we all assumed this is what was going to take place, and it did. Whenever Hembo says winning 1-score games is a skill, I think so too. I think that is a very real thing. What does that mean, you think? What in your mind? Doing the right things?
It's doing the right thing, attention to detail, obviously having your team prepare all 3 phases, because you never know, who's going to make that play. The play don't care who make it. Could be a blocked field goal, could be an interception, could be a 40-yard scamper, whatever it is, but just being prepared in those moments. And most of these games, week in and week out, especially the playoff games, are going to come down to a 2-minute drive. Somebody having to drive the ball, get a field goal, score a touchdown, or obviously on the other side of that, getting a stop. Sometimes it comes down to field position, a big return in the game. So you never know what it is. So just having your team prepared to get these wins. And they're 10-1 right now, and they're looking around each other when they show up to work like, look, we're not playing, everybody wants more out of each other. Everybody's still accountable to that standard that they have, but I think they're still in prime position for this 3-peat, even with what all the other great teams are doing right now.
I mean, their stats are horrendous, which means they can only get better to your point, which is wild because they're 10-1 and probably nowhere near. They haven't been happy yet.
No rat poison.
Not a single,
no rat poison.
Not a single drop of rat poison anywhere over there.
Well, and we were just talking about this before the show. Like, it's different than, especially now with college football, with everything's going on. Like, in the NFL, winning is all that matters. Like, all the ancillary bullshit that people say about, well, they don't look good, they're not the skill points or whatever. Like, you don't have any of that. The eye test, none of that stuff matters. They win, and obviously he was hurt, but I think when you couple Mahomes with these teams that have these kickers who, when they get the ball with 1:13 left and they only need 30 yards or whatever, you just assume hey, they get in within 55 yards, Butker is going to make the field goal. Mahomes isn't going to turn it over. They just need to play it smart a little bit. And for whatever reason, every time he gets the ball and it's tied or they're down, we know that they're going to go score and win. It is what it is.
It kind of is cool to feel like a fortune teller, though, for a little bit.
Yeah.
I've seen this song and dance so many times before. And to your point about Harrison Butker making those kicks, Spencer Shrader, he could have stayed with the Jags.
Yeah, he could have.
Why would you, though? Would have
been cool. Why would you, though?
You got come play a couple games with the Chiefs, get some good tape, be on primetime television. Everybody's going to watch it. And if they win in the end, they will definitely give you a Super Bowl championship. Or
wait a minute.
Think about this. You don't have to move out of New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Other than that,
not bad.
Nah, all right.
Go to Broadway still.
Remember they made that a big story?
Oh, yeah.
He chose not to stay on the New York Jets roster to go take this job with the Chiefs. He could have stayed with the Jets. Like, no shit. What are we talking about? And then for him to get that opportunity and make those kicks, because, hey, you can get on a carousel quick. The Colts, the Pittsburgh Steelers, whenever old Buddy got hurt and before they found Boswell.
Sean
Sweezum got hurt. They went on they were a good team that was supposed to go on a run. They lose their kicker in the Pro Bowl game, or the Hall of Fame game.
Yes.
He makes a tackle in the Hall of Fame game, tears something, he's out. Jeez. They're supposed to win a Super Bowl. They're supposed to go on a run. They go through like 3 kickers, I think, all in like 2-game periods, because they can't make a kick until Boswell shows up, this dude out of Rice, and then that's all she wrote in there. Yeah. But the other side, whenever your kicker goes down, is not always a guarantee. And the fact that Shrader steps up and hits him game winner, that's just the Chiefs being the Chiefs.
Yep, right.
Like, does that happen with any other team? Who knows? But he goes to the Chiefs, and of course, I'm going to put this thing right. Yeah, first going to do that.
Well, and we're talking about running the football too. Like, wait till Pacheco gets back. Yeah. And you go back to their run last year. Like, they won the Super Bowl last year running the football and playing defense. And once Pacheco gets back this year, Ty mentioned it. It doesn't matter in the end. When we get to the playoffs, when they're competing for another Super Bowl, we're not going to look back and be like, yeah, but they almost lost to the Panthers in Week 12. Like, no one gives a shit about any of that. So when Pacheco's there, when Bucker gets healthy, like, they're 10-1 and they're not a complete football team right now. And Kareem Hunt's been great for sure, but we know how Pacheco runs. He puts his knees in people's chin. So
feet through
the ground.
Through the ground.
This was them last year, though, too. Like, this was the whole conversation last year, except for they weren't 10-1. They had some losses. They're playing the exact same one. They're just winning those close games that you talked about. And yeah, it is a skill, because there was like a graphic a couple weeks ago. I can't remember who it was from. But if the one-score games went a different way, they would have been in last. And the Jags and the Bengals would have been leading the AFC.
This is like how I talk about the year we won 2-14 or whatever. There's like 9 games where it was one-score games. If a ball just so happens, which could happen in football, gets knocked out and just bounces up to somebody and they return to the house, we win the game. Now imagine we win 2 of those games that we ended up not winning. All of a sudden we don't have Andrew Luck.
Sure.
All of a sudden, that's why these close games, who wins, who doesn't, it's like there's billions. Billions of dollars that play for every single organization, and that's why you got 2-story apartments in the stadium over there for ownership with the Chiefs. It is a wild time.
To that point, I saw a lot of people saying, talking about Tommy DeVito, saying, "Hey, why couldn't you suck this bad last year? Maybe we wouldn't be in this situation."
Tommy DeVito obviously had to face a scorching hot Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, of course.
Who gets a massive win and does a little, hey, grazie, how we doing? You like me now? And, I know there's some, I think there was an Italian, it did look like he was potentially doing it as a middle finger. I don't know how many grazies. I don't know how much of that Baker's doing on a regular basis. He might have got jacked up in the moment. Did you see the interaction he had with a reporter who I would assume is potentially an Italian person? Who told you to do this whole thing? He said it was just spontaneous. And then he was asked, are you Italian, sir? You think you can? Question. And he said, I haven't done my 23andMe yet. Great answer. I mean, Baker was in there, and then he kind of gets out of there. He said it was a tribute to Tommy DeVito, but not only Tommy Cutlets. He said all Italian people.
Sure.
He just didn't get that out of there. And then Alex Anzalone, the Detroit Lions, goes, a little too aggressive for my liking. Huh? How you doing? Let's keep it moving out here. Yeah, it is a fantastic thing. The Italian people are the greatest. Never forget it. Never forget it. That's why Tommy Cutlets is such a fantastic story.